Sometimes life gets so loud that you can't hear yourself anymore. Not your dreams, not your intuition, not the version of you that once believed in more. And if you've been feeling overwhelmed, confused, or quietly stuck, this is for you. I want you to hear this clearly. It's not your fault. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not failing at life. You're simply living in a world that has made clarity feel like a luxury. This is Thinking with AI, a space to slow down and understand how technology is changing how we think, how we work, and how we live. Let's talk. We live in a time where everything moves faster than the human heart can keep up with. Bills rise, responsibilities rise, expectations rise, pressure rises, noise rises, but clarity keeps disappearing. We wake up exhausted, move through our days on autopilot, and fall asleep with thoughts we never had time to understand. We scroll more than we breathe. We react more than we process. We perform more than we feel. We're connected to everyone except ourselves. So many people are quietly drowning in lives they never had the space to build intentionally. If that feels familiar, you're not alone. I want to take you back to a moment I have never forgotten. I was at the grocery store. On one side, there was peanut butter, and on the other, jam. Both suddenly feeling like luxury. My fiance had lost his job. My business was falling apart, and my spirit was barely holding on. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't break down. I just stood there, frozen, as the world kept moving around me. And something inside me whispered a truth I had been avoiding. I am not thinking clearly. I am surviving, not choosing. I am reacting, not understanding. I am living, but I am not awake. That moment didn't destroy me. It opened me. It changed the way I understood my life and the way I began to think. Most people don't lose themselves all at once. It happens slowly, quietly, almost gently. We lose ourselves in responsibility, survival, expectations, comparison, pressure, and the need to be strong for everyone except ourselves. And one day we wake up and ask, how did I get here? You're not lost. You're overwhelmed. And overwhelmed people don't need motivation. They need clarity. They need someone to sit with them and say, let's slow down your mind. Let's understand your story. Let's find you again. This space isn't about AI replacing your mind. It's not about automating your life or moving faster. It's about thinking deeper. When used with intention, AI becomes a mirror, a companion, a listening partner. Not because it knows you, but because it helps you know yourself. AI doesn't tell you who to be. It reflects who you already are. Beneath the overwhelm, beneath the confusion, beneath the pressure. This is where thinking begins again. In this space, we slow things down. We create room to understand ourselves again, to think with intention instead of urgency, and choose direction instead of drifting. Not all at once, not perfectly, but honestly. Clarity doesn't come from the world around you. It comes from within you. Sometimes you just need the right tools to help you listen. We always think life breaks loudly. We expect the warning signs, arguments, the breakdowns, the dramatic moments. But sometimes life breaks quietly. No explosion, no scream, no collapse. Just a moment. A tiny, ordinary moment that somehow holds the weight of your entire life. For me, that moment happened between a jar of peanut butter and a bottle of jam. It started like any other day. I walked into the grocery store with a list in my hand, a list of things we used to buy without thinking. But that day was different. My fiancé had just lost his job. The business was barely staying alive. The bills didn't care. The world didn't pause for us. Life kept moving, even though everything inside me felt like it was falling apart. And as I stood in that aisle, surrounded by people who looked so normal, something inside me cracked. I wasn't angry. I wasn't crying. I wasn't panicking. I was numb. And that numbness scared me more than anything. I remember looking at the price of the peanut butter we always bought and suddenly wondering if we could afford it. Not because it was expensive, but because we were fragile. It wasn't the jam. It was the realization for so long that I didn't know who I was anymore. I stood there frozen. A child laughed. Life moved. But inside me, everything was quiet. Looking back, that moment didn't break me. It revealed me. I didn't lack ambition. I lacked clarity. I wasn't failing. I was overwhelmed. My life wasn't falling apart. It was trying to tell me something, and I wasn't listening. Real breakdowns happen internally. When your mind gets tired of holding everything, when your heart gets tired of being strong, when your clarity disappears. That moment became my beginning, and it eventually led me here, to deeper thinking, to reflection, to understanding myself, and later to AI. Not for speed, but for clarity. If this story feels like yours, you are not failing. You are awakening. People admire strength. They praise it. They rely on it. But no one ever talks about the cost. The cost of always being the strong one. At some point, strength stops being a choice and starts becoming your role. You're the one who holds everything together. The one people lean on. The one who never breaks. Not because you don't feel pain, but because you don't feel allowed to. Being strong teaches you how to survive, but it also teaches you what to suppress. You silence your exhaustion. You silence your fear. You silence your sadness. You silence your need to rest. Until one day, your body feels tired before your mind admits it. The emotional cost of strength is quiet. It looks like functioning, but feeling empty. It looks like showing up, but feeling disconnected from yourself. It looks like being capable, but feeling deeply alone. Strong people don't break loudly because they've trained themselves not to ask for help. They don't want to burden anyone, so they carry everything until carrying becomes too heavy. I had to learn something important. Strength without clarity is dangerous. It keeps you moving, but not necessarily living. I didn't need to be stronger. I needed to be more honest. Healing didn't start when I pushed harder. It started when I slowed down. When I listened to what I was feeling. When I stopped pretending I was okay. That's where clarity begins. If you've been strong for a long time and you're feeling tired, there is nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're human. And here we're learning a new way. A way that doesn't require you to disappear to survive. Most of us don't actually think. We react. We respond to pressure, to expectations, to fear. And we call that thinking. Reaction is fast. It's automatic. It's driven by survival. Reflection is slower. It requires space and honesty. Most of us were never taught how to reflect. We were taught how to cope. Reflection feels uncomfortable because it slows everything down. And when things slow down, you start to feel. You notice what you've been avoiding, thoughts you never had time for, emotions you buried to survive, questions you were afraid to ask. For me, reflection began quietly. When I stopped asking, what am I actually feeling? What am I thinking? What am I carrying that I never questioned? Clarity doesn't come from speed. It comes from understanding. Reflection gives your thoughts somewhere to land. It gives your emotions language and your story meaning. This is where thinking actually begins. Reflection is not the end. It's the doorway to deeper awareness, to clearer choices, to conscious living. And later, to tools that support your thinking, not replace it. If you've been living in reaction, this is your invitation to pause, to listen, to understand, to begin thinking again. When people hear the words artificial intelligence, something tightens. Fear, resistance, uncertainty. And that reaction makes sense. AI arrived fast, faster than most of us could process. It entered our lives without permission and without explanation. So fear filled the gap. Fear of being replaced. Fear of becoming irrelevant. Fear of losing what makes us human. But AI is not a mind. It doesn't think. It doesn't feel. It doesn't replace human wisdom. AI reflects. It responds. It organizes information. What you bring to it matters. I didn't approach AI with excitement. I approached it with caution and a lot of questions. What surprised me was not what AI could do, but what it allowed me to see: my patterns, my thoughts, my blind spots. I stopped seeing AI as a threat and started seeing it as a mirror, a place to think out loud, to organize my thoughts, to ask questions without judgment. AI didn't give me answers. It helped me ask better questions. You can't fear what you understand, and you can't have a voice in conversations you avoid. This series is not about convincing you. It's about helping you participate with awareness, with clarity, and without fear. AI doesn't replace your humanity. It reflects it. And next, we'll talk about learning how to think with AI, not faster, but deeper. If something in this episode felt familiar, or if something shifted even slightly, I want to gently invite you to go deeper. The Thinking with AI ebook is available for you to download. It goes slower. It goes deeper. It holds space for your story. You don't have to think alone. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to be willing to begin. This is Thinking with AI, where we learn, think, create, and evolve.